For the week 3 coding assignment, I'll try to go through this as quickly as possible because there were a lot of components, but you can see here on my left, I have what printed out to my console in my browser. And then over here on the right, I have my Visual Studio Code and the code I wrote in JavaScript, as well as my HTML to be able to pull up the console in my browser and see what is verified that my code worked. So starting with number 1, I have my array called ages, which then I was able to use to run through other parts of number 1, including 1A. I was able to create a function to dynamically subtract the last element from the first element of my array. And then I checked to make sure that worked in 1B, which was the case. So I went ahead and printed out what I pushed to my array, the new age I pushed to my array as a last element, and then checked that my function worked, which it did. I got what I expected, 45 minus 3, which was 42. And then for 1C, I used a for each function here to go ahead and calculate the average of the ages in my array. Moving on to number 2, I had my array called names that included all the names here and that were printed out in my console. I then went ahead and printed out for 2B. Oh, sorry about that. I skipped 2A. I went ahead and printed out the length of each name and then used the average to determine the average length of name for the names in the loop, the length of names in the loop. Then for 2B, I used this join to go ahead and concatenate, my names in my array with a comma as well as a space just for visual appeal there. Then for number 3, I showed how we can access the last element of an array using that array.length minus 1 since it's a 0 index system. And then for it to access the first element of my array, I have array 0 again with that first element being the 0 index. For number 5, I went ahead and created my array called name lengths by pushing the lengths that I had calculated into an array specifically called name lengths and printing that out. Then for number 6, I calculated the sum of all the elements of the array. I went ahead and used the reduce method here to go ahead and try that out. It was an efficient way of getting the sum. I tried it out a few different ways in this assignment, but I did enjoy the reduce method and adding my previous value with my current value for the array, and then going ahead and printing out the sum there, which was correct of 23. Then for number 7, I used the function repeat words to go ahead and produce the word times the number times inputted into the function, hello, hello, hello. And you can see that I used this dot repeat to be able to do that for number 7. For number 8, I created my full name and the formatting that I wanted using this function full name. Plug that in and I did get my full name here, Natalie Mason. Then for number 9, I wrote a function to take the array of numbers, return true if the sum of all the numbers is greater than 100. So you can see how I did that over here for number 9. And I tried that out by adding 100, 200, and 300. And it was true that that was greater than 100. Moving on to number 10, I went ahead and calculated the average of those the elements previously listed in my array, calculated the average, which should be returned within my function, printed that out using the average of my array and got 200, which is what I was expecting. Then for number 11, I did this a little more explicitly so I could see the average of the elements in my first array, second array, and then compare them so that if the average of first array was greater than second array, that would be true, else it would return false. And I went ahead and ran that function. You can see the average of my first array, second array, and then that it is true that first array is greater than second array. For number 12, I wrote the function will buy drink and ran that. So will buy drink if it's hot outside and I have $12, that should be true, which is the case here. And lastly, I had fun with solving my own problem. Do I have enough money to shop at the grocery store? I would like to, based on my budget. So I have my variable here of monthly budget, thinking up for groceries. My function is shop at preferred store, can I? And figuring out my monthly budget, plugging that in here. So if my monthly budget is greater than or equal to $150, sure, shop where you like, shop where you please. Or if you have less than that or else not equal to or greater than 150, you need to shop in bulk and maybe find some coupons. So I went ahead and printed that out, and I had consult.log shop at preferred store for $125. Don't have enough money, so I'll shop in bulk and find some coupons. But in this next case, I have $164, so I'll go ahead and shop where I please. It was I really enjoyed working on this assignment for week 3. I feel like I learned a lot, and I'm excited to keep on going with the Friend Coding Bootcamp. Thanks for your time.